Up next on Inside ChampCar, the big announcement. Welcome to this episode of Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. The guy above me is ducking and jiving and trying to get away from a tornado. Let's hope.
Fresh from Texas, a year ago, Ray and I were in a tornado, and now we kind of have them headed for us right now.
Up here, should I pull up the radar?
River, Virginia. Yeah, radar is. This is my local. If you can hear it, you might hear it in the background, but our local news station is playing the news, so we're got it going, and they're giving us a update. So basically, we've got storms all the way from Danville, which everybody knows is VIR, headed all the way up to Lynchburg, and I'm right on the beginning edge of it. So we're just waiting.
Any problems in Wingina?
No, Wingina. Well, no, nothing in Wingina yet. Just a lot of heavy rain.
So here's why I ask. I used to work with a meteorologist in Charlottesville.
Right.
And he told me that unless there was a level 5 tornado bearing down on a Wingina, he would never say Wingina because he was afraid of making the mistake.
Yeah.
And
we all fall. What's really funny is my sister-in-law grew up at the post office there, and if you know Wingina, it's a post office.
It is. Yep. It absolutely is.
That's it.
Yeah.
Downtown Wingina, right there.
Exactly.
That was their property.
It's like, do you know what you need to have a town in Wisconsin?
What?
A church, a tavern, and a stop sign.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
I was up in Bradford, Pennsylvania. Some of the towns south of there, you had like 50 churches and 50 bars.
Yep.
So, it was pretty wild. In just this little tiny town, there wasn't 50 people in the town.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, so there's a guy standing here next to us, sitting here next to us, just listening to us blather along. Johhny Chikowski's here from 9 Lives Racing. Johnny, welcome to the show again.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Johnny. So, we asked you to be a guest, and you said you had an announcement. We're not going to make the announcement yet. We're going to make these people stay up late.
You let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of folks using the 9 Lives Wings and ChampCar and other series. You guys, tell us a little history about 9 Lives Racing for those that hadn't heard about you or seen you, or if they've seen your wings.
Yeah, they've seen the wings, probably. So the story goes, I was working for a safety company. I've been in motorsports pretty much my entire life. And I was working for a company, and I started working hand in hand with Elan Motorsports, which is Delta Wing Panos, those companies. And they were like, "You got to try this wing." And I'm like, "No." Like, nobody wants an aluminum wing. That's a terrible idea. And for about 2 years, they're hounding me. And I was getting to the point where I was really overdoing the wing that I had, and I was ready to make a move. And I was like, all right, give you guys a shot. Throw it on the car. Go to Road Atlanta, do 7 miles an hour faster in the back straight, 5 miles an hour faster through the corners.
What car was this?
This is my Miata. So I got an LS powered Miata that I've been developing for a long time. And I was like, this is real. And then a couple of guys on our Facebook groups, the Trackable Miatas, were talking about wings. And I was like, I can get this Elan made wing, which is a real motorsports company. I can get this wing for a few $100. You guys rather try that than some eBay brand? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And then, now to date, that started off, we sold 5. Now we're well over 8,000 wing kits that have been sold so far.
Wow.
Yeah. It's incredible. It went from just me in my garage, welding them up, boxing them up, begging my parents to help me box them, and up to now we had 7 guys in the shop today.
Well, I remember you contacting me back in the early days of ChampCar.
Yeah.
And asking, hey, what can we do? And of course, I was running a $15 eBay wing from APR, dual element.
Yeah.
How well did that work?
I think the only thing $15 on it was probably the hardware. But yeah, it was pretty pricey. But yeah, there's a lot of folks doing stuff like that back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. I had the APR wing on it. It worked really, really well. We took it to Charlotte and was kind of blown away by it. And then we ended up making our own out of plywood and foam and stuff. And then you came around and
the plywood there.
And you started talking about real aluminum wings from real race cars and real up stanchions and all this stuff. And I actually have a wing sitting down there on the Opel GT, waiting to go race whenever I get that car done. But I remember racing at Charlotte. It was the first time we ever used a wing, and I think this was 2013, or 2012. Sorry, 2012. We raced at Charlotte, and there was maybe 3 or 4 cars out there with wings, and people would just laugh at us. It's just going to slow you down on the straights or whatever.
Yeah,
we've discovered the complete opposite. It's and none of this is new because now we just see so many wings in ChampCar and other series because they work. If they allow it, they work.
Yeah.
And your wing, one of the most popular out there. And again, I think part of it. Now we got folks that we don't allow carbon fiber in our series, but I did say Opel GT, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
We don't allow carbon fiber in our series. I've been trying for years to get them to approve it. Who knows? They may approve it in a couple of years. But I think the biggest benefit of your wing being aluminum is that if somebody does hit it or if you back it into something, basically it's just bend it back into place and you're back racing. And with a carbon wing, you're not going to be able to do that.
No.
Yeah, that's 90% of the people that call us for crash damage or something like that, they just want new pylons. The wings survive.
Yeah. We see them. I mean, end plates are a little bent up or whatever, but we were
running down at CMP last weekend, and one of my teams clipped the back tire of another car and went airborne and launched the car into the trees. Wow. So if you've ever been to CMP, you've seen the forest that's there. So they got launched into the trees, and the wing took the hit, and it was the first time I've ever seen one of our wings broken.
Oh wow.
And I was impressed. I was like, I've never seen it before. And it saved the car.
Wow.
The wing took it for the car. I was like, that's incredible.
I think what's kind of cool too is if you're really good with a TIG welder or even a MIG welder, you could probably weld that back together.
Oh yeah. We've had I've had one guy, so we sell what we call mini wings, which is just our cutoffs.
Yeah.
Right. And they're cheap, they're like $30 because otherwise they're just going to go in the dumpster. It's just enough to pay for the box that they're going in to ship it to you. And I've had one dude order like 20 or 30 of those. And he started welding them together. Next thing you know, I see this RX-8 with like a quad element wing. And, I'm like, wait, what are you doing?
That's awesome. I love it.
Exactly.
Just sitting there with a grinder, grinding it down flat.
Yeah, just going for it. I'm like, I didn't know he was doing it until he shows up at one of the races, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just happy to be involved.
That's kind of cool though, because you could make a completely different angled F1 style wing, where you get more length, but it's not really longer. So that would be kind of cool to do.
Yeah, actually, I got we put the patent in for making twist wings out of aluminum. Like the 3D element wings.
Yeah.
We got the patent on the process of using inserts to put them into the wing. So that way, if you did need a twist wing, normally if you need a twist wing, you have to make a mold, and it costs like $8,000.
Right.
Like the cheapest you can build a custom one-off twist wing is about like $8,000. Now with us patenting the insert design where we kind of put them in and we affix them to the wing, we can do one for $1,500.
So $1,500. That's really cheap, man.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Speaking of cheap and inexpensive.
Stop
please.
Talking about me.
And we're not talking about me. So you made an announcement this afternoon, and I just lost it.
Wait! Before you get to that,
delay. More hype.
More anticipation. So how do you have wings in the Michelin Pilot Challenge?
Michelin Pilot Challenge.
IMSA?
No.
Okay.
One day, hopefully.
Yeah, I was just because they tore off a bunch of wings this past weekend, and several of them looked like they could just put new whatever you call the up and down parts and put them right back on a car and go with them. They didn't.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to them.
Well, like all the TCR cars all use aluminum wings.
Yep.
There's a lot more aluminum wings in the market than people realize.
Yeah.
Ours are shiny and aluminum, so they look like it.
Yeah.
But most of them are hidden pretty well.
Well, you could wrap them and make them look carbon fiber.
Yeah. That happens all the time. People put wraps on them, stuff like that. We even powder coat ours like a really dark gunmetal.
Oh.
So if you go to their website and order it, you can get it in gunmetal, which is, I tell the powder coater, I'm like, make it look like carbon fiber from 50 feet away.
Nice.
Like that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah. So that's, like we all kind of do it. So,
I remember doing an interview for a team that won a race, and I'm not going to say where it was or when it was, but standing right behind them doing, they're doing the interview and their car's right behind them. And I finished it. Oh, congratulations for winning, blah, 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 for what class they were in. And then I look over their shoulder and there's this huge carbon fiber wing right there. And they were a class car. So we had to DQ them.
Oh no.
Yeah. But it was like, come on, man. So
the rules,
it is in the rules, but it was kind of funny because it's like it was probably a 3-minute interview, but it was one of those you're like, why didn't I see that when I first walked up here?
Yeah, you already got the interview going. It's all over the web.
Yeah, they're watching it. People are probably, look at his wing.
Fastest way to get DQ'd.
Oh, that's too good.
Have that flag on the back of your car.
Exactly. So, all right. So, So we were talking earlier. So on my trips, I do a lot of reading, when I'm driving, because that's what you put books on tape. What do they call those now? It's Audible. Whatever website. Yeah, Audible. I downloaded a book, Audible. And I was scrolling, moving along at 70 miles an hour and scrolling along trying to figure out what to read. And there's Randy Lanier's book about his experiences of drug running and marijuana importing and what was the other thing? Oh, and winning IMSA, winning moving up to IMSA and racing, and then going off to Indy and winning the Rookie of the Year, and then of course getting busted, sent to jail, and get to the end of the book. And I kind of knew the end of the story because I'm friends with this guy named Mike Carr. Mike actually drove for me in the MR2 at one of the VIR 24s in the early days of ChampCar. And, or actually, I think the first year that we ran my car in the 24, 2013. And Mike actually invited him to come out, Randy Lanier, to come out and drive his E30 at Mid-Ohio. And the road and track guys were there as well. So he went back and forth. And I just thought that was such a cool story. Of a guy that served his time and came back, and the community invited him back, and there he is racing. So I'm going to see if we can get him on. He's a member of ChampCar, so I'm going to see if I can get him on the show. But you had some fun times because you were working in IMSA in those days. Yeah,
I still am.
Nothing you can talk about?
Oh, you want to know the
that stuff we shouldn't talk about. Let's talk about it.
I've just
Mondays through Fridays, probably the most famous one that everyone would know would probably be P1. That I was working with that team pretty hard. I was doing fabrication for them. I was making the seats that are going in the cars, and these guys were calling me up, and I basically met them down at Petite one year, and I made him a seat. Owner says, greatest seat he's ever had, and I'm like, well, that's cool. It's very nice of you, thank you. I get a call from them, and they go, okay, we need you to come down to Miami and make us 2 more seats. And I was like, I can't. My shop's going too crazy. 9 Lives is blowing up. I'm like, I can't leave, So I gave them a price of, like a price that
you knew they were never going to pay.
Price. Yeah,
it was a go away. I don't want to do a price, right? And they said, okay. I'm like, I guess I'm going to Miami. So I go down to Miami, make up a couple seats, turn around like a month later, they call me again, like, hey, we need you to come make 2 more seats. And I'm like, how many cars you guys have? I'm like, okay. So they jump on and they do same thing. Shop was going, given that I didn't want to do a price, they without hesitation said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm going to Miami," and that went on for years. Probably about 2-3 years, and every single time I was like, the price is going up because these guys would never hesitate on it, and they'd have like some kind of demand or something like that, so the price would go up, and it was getting crazy. It got to the point where I named our first CNC machine that I paid cash off the money that they paid me. I named it P1. And a buddy of mine calls me and goes, "Hey, did you hear about P1?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." I was like at VIR when he told me, and I was like, I was supposed to be meeting him here next weekend, and they were like, "No, Medicare scam." So allegedly, the team owner was South American. He had a call center in South America. They were calling people in the U.S. that had Medicare. He had a doctor that was like 2 blocks from his race shop, and they would apparently they would call these people. If they said yes or no to a knee brace, they would send them over to the doctor. Doctor give them a prescription, and then they would bill Medicare like 3 times the value.
Wow.
And they were using the money that they were paying me as so a way to cover up their costs or like to cover the money they're making. So I was like, guess this is cool. Like I'm in the middle, like, I actually worked with, or I was on the team that did Tucker.
Yeah, Scott Tucker.
The SCCA car that he built.
Yeah.
The turbo Hayabusa motor and stuff like that. Like I was working at PFC Brakes when we did the brakes for that car. And they got all the video of the carbon brakes heating up and cooling off instantly. Like, it was one tech in an SCCA car. And, and I was like, man, I better, like, they're like, here, put this on, do the marketing for it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I better look up how to spell this guy's name. And so when I typed it into Google, then all the charges came up. I can't use any of this. Like, it's going to look like we're supporting some criminal. So yeah, it's kind of cool to be involved in these like kind of big newsworthy
good stories.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I was there. Like it's like kind of knew you're in the middle of motorsports.
Well, it's
all right. We're done now. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear some of the stories about the Whittington brothers and with IMSA and even they went IndyCar and stuff. But the hidden storage areas in the 911, what were they 935 KRs had some hidden areas in it so they could transport money or whatever it was.
Wasn't it dumping like bags of cocaine in the cylinders or something like that? Or craziness.
Who knows? So I mean, some great little stories there. But yeah. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right. So you have just launched.
Yes.
In the ChampCar is all about trying to keep it cheap, trying to keep it on the cost down.
That's us.
One of the things we did this week was we put in a new rule for tires to keep the cost down on tires. I got jumped all over for that one, which is pretty funny. But
you outlaw the color purple?
Yeah. Well, no, we did not outlaw the color purple. We outlawed anything, any tires molded at 5/16. Yeah. So you have to have a tire. Your tire will be molded as 7/16. Yeah. So, plus or minus whatever. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Somebody had said, I measured a brand new tire. Shrinkage.
I don't know what you're talking about, Bill.
I don't know either. But yeah, so one of you hit it earlier was, your wings are still inexpensive compared to, some of the things I find overseas are thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. Like a couple, they're big money for these wings. And one of the benefits that you had with Nine Lives Racing was you had a extruded wing, aluminum wing, for relatively inexpensive. Mm-hmm. Now you've set another bar. Yeah. You're now going to be selling a kit called the Express by 9 Lives.
Correct.
That's going to be $299. It starts out at $299.
Right.
Tell me about that. And so why did you pick this?
So the Express kit, well, if you get a 9 Lives wing from us, we put a lot of effort and a lot of heart into it. So it's a lot of we condition the wings, we do the welding, we get it, we do everything as best as we possibly can. We don't use a spool gun. We use TIG welding just because it looks better. We do, we condition the wings to make it look nice and smooth and, presentable. And we were kind of noticing that was pushing out a lot of fabricators who we like to support, because we're just doing it all anyway. So there's a whole market of fabricators that need to be able to build stuff. And so we came out with the Express Wing, and all that is a simplified, easier version of our current airfoil. So it's the same 15-to-1 lift to drag ratio that's been winning all these races. That's been, on the top of the charts for a while now. And but we don't do any of the surface conditioning. It comes with some end plates. It comes with some mounts. It'll bolt to all of our existing pylon kits. But it's something that a guy in his garage with a welder, spool gun, can put together. That being said, I was still thinking like, okay, that's not a lot of guys out there can weld. We're also going to be offering a bolt-on mount kit, so anybody with a drill and a riv nut tool can go ahead, get one of these wings, build it, put the mounts wherever they want to, build the pylons any way they want, or send us a drawing and we'll build them for you, and put it on to any car they like.
That's too cool. I mean, the price point is just perfect. And to me, it's so whenever we built a race car, we always try to have two of everything.
Right.
Because, during a race, your driver sets off the fire bottle. You got to have a second fire bottle. You back into a wall at Watkins Glen, the MR2 at Watkins Glen. There you go. And you tweak your wing. You got to have, uprights, spare uprights. So we had double everything.
Right.
And being able to just buy a second wing just in case that you can just throw on it, build it real quick, throw on it really, really inexpensive. It's the bomb, man. I mean, it's like you have them all prepped, ready to go.
Yep.
Now this is a thick wall. This is this is the same thickness as the other wing that you do. The full version. So it should be relatively. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Tell me about that. Or can you?
So the other reason we're launching this Express Wing is we have the die for the 9 Lives wing, and so I was like, okay, I really sat down with our extruders. I was like, look, we need to start figuring out how to make this thing lighter. It's the only thing we're getting beat on is weight. We went to the wind tunnel. We took every brand with us. Omar's racer did a whole write-up on it. And we tested every single airfoil, and we beat them all. We beat them all on downforce, we beat them all on drag. So the airfoil shape was solid, but we were getting beat on weight. So I sat down with my extruders, and I was like, look, we got to do it. We got to do better. And they were like, no, we can't do it. And I'm like, I'm not leaving until I get a lighter wing, And we sat down with the engineers. We sat down with some guys that have been in the extruding business for over 30 years. I think at one point we had over 150 years of experience in the room with us while we're sitting down going like, okay, where can we shave? Where can we make it lighter, without making the airfoil smaller? And we worked it up, and that's going to be coming out here in November. We're going to call it the Evo. So it's the Big Wang Evo kit. So the original Big Wang is now going to be the Express Wing, and then the Big Wang Evo will be taking over for all the kits going forward.
Too cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And in ChampCar, light is fast. Actually, the series is fast.
Yeah. We were testing it up against the competitors. It starts with an I, ends with an R.
Yeah.
And our aluminum wings were weighing the same.
Very cool.
As the other one. So it's like if you got an imported carbon wing, chances are we might be lighter.
So and they are illegal for Miatas and E30s, right? And Porsche Boxsters.
What?
You can't use any of those on those cars, right?
Bill, stop.
No.
Your chat can't handle this, Bill.
Hey, don't put that rule in effect.
They're only legal on VW Rabbits, Opel GT, Toyota MR2s, and that's it. That's what I read somewhere.
So
I think I'll put fishing weights in the Miata ones. How's that?
Okay. So before you made the announcement, Timothy Elliott's in the chat, and he wrote before this announcement, I need a Wang, but I can't afford one yet. 88 Scirocco needs a wing. Timothy, does this help you? Put it in the chat right now.
Well, look at this.
Definitely his option right there.
Yeah.
So you have shop where you can pay and make monthly payments. Not that you should. I'm not enforcing you, or I'm
encouraging.
Yeah, I'm not urging making payments on race car parts, but for $35 a month, you can get the express welded your Big Wang kit for $395 and pay only $35.65 a month with zero interest.
Yeah.
So
by the time racing season comes back around, it'll be well and paid off.
Yeah, easily.
I mean, that's not even less than a set of tires. That is less than a tire.
Yep.
Yeah.
And half of a purple tire. So
and a third of and like 3 times the cost of an Opel GT. So
yeah. I don't know, man. You see those things going for some big bucks. People send me.
You got sofas on the side of the road, and then 4 Opel GTs right next to it, right?
Exactly. They send me pictures. Hey, man, this for sale. You want me to talk to the guy for you? And I reply back, dude. 1 Opel is one too many.
I already have one.
I love it.
Yeah. You know the Opel guy.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
You bought one. All right, so you have all these. So these wings, you can also fit a gurney flap. You can add, what's a gurney flap? I know what it does, but you tell the story. Nobody believes me.
So the gurney flap, otherwise, if you're in the aviation business, it's called a wicker.
A wicker bill.
It goes on the back edge of a wing.
Yep.
It was, putting them on race cars was spearheaded by Dan Gurney, which is why we name it
the gurney.
Gurney flap.
Yep.
What it does is it trips the air at the edge, and it makes the wing act like it's a bigger wing. It gives you a little bit of a drag penalty, but it gives you a lot more downforce out of it.
But you also get the same effect from the side pod or from the end plates too. So
end plates are modified as well.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, if you're like, I was just doing some endurance racing last weekend, and we cleaned up the front of our. We were racing a V6 Miata. And we cleaned up the front of it, and I was like, "Oh, guys, I think we're gonna have too much front downforce. Let's just throw a gurney in it." And so we tossed a gurney in the back, and we went out racing, and it was too much. It was too much rear downforce. So the nice thing about the gurney is that it's a 1 screw on an end plate. End plate falls off, pull the gurney out. We were able to do it in a fuel change, without breaking our minimum pit lane speed. And the car, we stopped burning front tires off the car.
Wow!
So it all came right back. So it's a really nice, quick tuning tool that you can do in the pits. Because unbolting a wing is a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah.
It sounds. You think you can do it a lot faster than you actually can.
Well, the thing is with a wing, that thing needs to be on there good. People don't realize how much force that applied to these things going through there. Now, if you've ever taken apart the front end of a car, usually has like 100 bolts. Not that many, but close, and they're usually hidden, and there's bolts holding everything on. That's because the airflow hitting that car is just so much pressure that if not, you'd rip parts off. Look what happens when you lose, you hit something and it gets knocked off and things start flying off the car.
Oh yeah.
So
our first test before we put anything on market, before we do any of our testing, is get up there. We gotta stand on it. You gotta figure out, it's gonna be making a few 100 pounds of downforce. It should be able to handle my chubby butt standing on it, and if it doesn't, that's our quick test before we hit the track to see if it's any good or not.
No, notice how Johhny's never invited me to come and test their wings.
I'll throw you up there. We got photos of 5-6 people up there. We had a whole wedding party.
Oh, that's awesome!
One guy get married. His entire wedding party standing on the wing.
Yeah.
I'm like, keep sending me these. Like, I like this.
Car's popping a wheelie.
Yeah. I think it was like 5 or 6 people up there.
So funny story. You mentioned the aerodynamicists and rocket scientists or whatever that do these wing designs up. I had a friend that's his wife is a aerodynamicist, rocket scientist, and she was talking about. She called her husband up to find out she was designing the nose of the Ford Mustang. They kept asking for a splitter, and she did not know what a splitter was. And she said, he said, that's a diffuser. It's a front diffuser on the front. She goes, oh, because, they have a totally different scientific terminology for all this stuff. But when she said diffuser, she knew exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like I try to warn people about spats. I'm sure everybody that knows me hears me say this. I'm like, it's not like they always put the wicker in front of the tire, and they call it a spat. I'm like, it's not a spat. Like, and they're always like, yeah, it is. Everybody on the internet calls it that. And I'm like, no, like if you go to any aviation, anybody that knows anything about aerodynamics, they're gonna look at you like a weirdo because you're calling, a spat is the thing that goes on the back tire of a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be looking at you funny, like, why are you using the wrong words for everything?
Well, these young kids don't know any better. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying
spats,
to help you.
In England, the spats were the part that covered the tire. So
yeah. Or the part that goes over your shoes when you're wearing fancy clothes.
Yeah. So
there you go.
So Nine Lives not only does wings. Oh, let me stay on the wings for a second. So you have a choice of making, having a stanchion that goes underneath the wing and the swan neck. Yeah. What's the difference? Again, I kind of know this, but what's the difference between the two, and why would you choose one over the other?
Okay, that's actually a good question. So the swan neck mounting, so you take basically you have your bottom mounts, which is your traditionally see it everywhere, and then you have your swan mounting. So that's where you put the mounts on top of the wing. The bottom of the wing is what does all the work. So you'll get some downforce off the top, but really it's 90% of it's coming off the bottom. And so what you're doing is you're cleaning up the bottom and, having less stuff down there so the wing can work a little bit more efficiently. That being said, swan mounts have a lot higher failure rate. And that's not just with us, that's with every manufacturer out there. You see a failure out there, 9 times out of 10, it's a swan, because there's a lot more vibrations, a lot more things going on that those pylons have to do. So you end up making, thicker pylons, try to control the sway, things start getting a little heavy, so it's a big trade-off if you're going to run a swan over running a bottom mount. And I generally push everybody, especially, anybody in this audience that's listening to running ChampCar, to run a bottom mount. Right. You guys will put more miles on a car than an IMSA team will put on a car in 4 years. Oh. So it's like, do a bottom mount. It's going to last longer. You're going to have less headaches with it. And in our testing, at least on the Miatas, it was a 6% increase in downforce to do a swan. 6%, a set of end plates will get you 10. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it gives you a little bit, but it's not this earth-shattering amount.
And plus you have a failure point that potentially could happen over a year's worth of racing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's nicer because you can see the welds and you can kind of keep an eye on it a lot easier. You don't have to like get underneath the wing. But you gotta be, if you got a swan, you gotta be looking at that. You gotta, if you see a crack forming, pull the wing off, send it to us. We'll repair it for free. But yeah.
So I know there's guys out there that know the rule book better than me because that's the way it is. Our rules state that you have the roof, the top of the roof, or the top of the roll cage, the top of the stock cage. Mm-hmm. You can only go above a certain height. So that includes the uprights, the swan neck. So if your swan neck is way up here, your wing is, maybe 2 inches lower, or so. Mm-hmm. And now if you run it underneath, you could run that wing a little 2 inches higher.
Yeah, but height's kind of a thing. If you don't know how the airflow is going over your car, height's an easy way to get away from it and make sure it's going to be somewhere clean.
Right.
Like I get a lot of people trying to raise their wings up thinking that they're going to make more downforce. But truth be told, like if you had our Miata kit, our Miata kit makes almost the same open air downforce as it does bound to the car. So going higher on that kit is only just raising your CG. Don't really go for it. You're doing just fine the way it is. Don't fight it. But yeah, so everyone kind of, height and forward and backness thinking that they're going to be increasing their overall downforce, and that's not exactly true.
Right.
And then the higher you go, though, too, you get more of the sway action in your
Yeah, you get your CG goes up. Anytime you move anything higher, your CG goes up. So
CG is center of gravity for you guys that don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So
it's a real important weight.
I'm not an engineer, so please correct me if I'm wrong, and I probably am.
I'll do my best.
The amount of downforce that any particular wing would make in the same angle doesn't change with the height of the wing. It's the exact same downforce no matter where you put it in the plane of the car. The only thing that would change with the height of the wing is how much dirty air that wing is taken before it can utilize the downforce, right?
So it's more like if you have dirty air, you want to get that wing away from it.
Correct.
So if you got like a Miata with no top on it, then you do want your wing higher.
Right, okay.
Because that no top is leaving a whole bunch of dirty air around. So you just want to get the wing up and away from the dirty air.
Right. So you want the wing as low as possible where it can avoid the dirty air.
You always want everything as low as possible.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. You want to be in the clean air, like that's why Porsche, like we offer a high and a mid-rise Porsche kit for 911s and or for Boxers and Caymans. And I almost always push everybody towards the low rise because the Porsches have such clean air going over them. It just works better, and you get a lower CG. But people really insist on having it high, so I sell a high kit as well.
Cool.
All right, so enough of this wing BS.
Oh, come on now.
I
love wings with little buffalo sauce.
You do the stuff on the bottom of the car too, splitters and diffusers and all that stuff. So you're a one-stop shop.
Yeah, well, if it's aerodynamics, it's only thing we really want to do is build aerodynamic parts for racers and make it. It's a really expensive field, right? And everybody out there is, looking at it and seeing these really big dollar figures, and they're thinking that, oh, I'm going to spend more, I'm going to get a better product, and I'm, us at Nine Lives are here to tell you that, a dollar amount is not a sign of goodness. A dollar amount is just what it costs them to build it. And we do everything in-house. So everything is vertically integrated. As soon as the material comes in, it goes right on our racks. We take nothing in but raw material and output nothing but product. So there's no middlemen, there's nothing in the way. And everything we do is just to make racing as cheap as we possibly can. And we want to bring the best product. So we invest in engineering time, wind tunnel time, CFD time. We are out there testing ourselves, and we just want to have the best we can possibly have. And if somebody beats us, I'm not mad. I want to know what they did. And as soon as I find out what they did, then we're going to go through and improve our stuff too.
So it's something I learned over the years was living in Europe during the 80s and 90s was at one point, the British Touring Car Championship cars were just getting so aero dependent, and they had big wings. They were starting to not look like street cars. So the RAC decided, hey, we're going to change this up, and they took away all the wings, and guess who got angry? The spectators, because they didn't look like race cars.
They want race cars,
Yeah, they want race cars. So they gave them a wing profile that really didn't do much of anything. They put them on all these backpacks and cars. They look like race cars now. But it was only a matter of months before the teams figured out ways to actually make them do something. And that's what's really cool about you aero guys is you can make cars look fast and be fast.
Yeah. I always say that cars get rented faster when they have wings on them. And you have more spectators when you have a car that has wings on it. I mean, just look over like the most popular series right now. Every single one that loves to get eyeballs on it, run big wings on it. So why not do it?
Well, when you go back to your office on Monday morning and you're showing pictures of what you did over the weekend, I have one of those in my driveway, but when it's all winged up and splitted up and lowered, big old fat tires and stickers all over it.
Right.
Yeah, stickers make a car go faster.
Yeah, when you show up with your vintage racing toaster, your E30, and the lady that drove there to work has the same car, she's going to be like, why you got those stickers?
It's a known fact that chicks dig wings.
It's true. I've never seen a wife be angry that a big wang has showed up at their door.
Absolutely not.
Never,
absolutely not.
Never once.
So
motorcycles, they get mad. Big trucks, mad. Big wangs, happy.
I autocross a Honda Fit, not the most not the most sexy car in the world. But when I was at Solo Nationals, I went to dinner with all my magnetics on the car, and I'm at this restaurant, and parked 2 cars away from me was a Lamborghini, and a brand new Corvette on both sides. Yeah. And when I walked out after dinner, there were 6 people walking around the Honda Fit looking at it.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I'm like, there's nothing fast about this car, but I had stickers.
I used to give driving instruction, like classroom instruction, right, for NASA. And, that was like the first thing. I'm like, all right, who's got vinyl stickers on your car? And, about half the class raised their hand. I'm like, congratulations, you have race cars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, stop acting like it's a street car. Like, put a cage in it.
So
put it, like, time to go for it. Yeah.
So who has the sense of humor?
What do you mean?
I'm looking at your website. I'm looking at gurney flaps.
They're all super dry.
And the 1/4-inch flap is just a whittle DF bump.
Yeah.
The 1/2-inch flap is the normal DF bump. And then the 3/4 flap is because I'm a madman. So who's the guy with the sense of humor making the website?
That's literally all of us. Like,
that's awesome.
I'm the one making the website most of the time, but everybody in the shop acts like that. We are all super lighthearted. It's
very cool.
I'll tell you this. I've had the same 4 dudes working for me for like 5 years. Yeah. I'm like, don't you guys want to leave and go somewhere else and like, just, anything? And they're like, no, we love our job. I'm like, why? I'm a jerk. They're just like, yeah, we don't want to leave. I'm like, okay. Like, I'll keep you around. I'll train somebody new.
I want to ask a small business owner question for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm a small business owner, and
gotcha.
and you started from your garage, know. And what was the moment? Because I've had it. What was the moment with your business where you said, "Wow, this is a real thing"?
So during the test, the very first test. Because I had asked the guys online, because they had an eBay wing up, and guys online were asked, on trackable Miatas, and they were like, should I buy this? Because the other guys were $2,000, and the eBay wing was $500, and they're just trying to find ways to go racing cheaper. They're like, should I buy this? And I'm like, I got the salon wing. I can go test it. And my inbox filled up. I was like 10 people that just wanted to get a wing. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, I should probably go make sure it works. And, that's why I put it on my car and tested it. And I went a lot faster. And I was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Like this is a thing. Like, this is real. Like, this isn't just some shape, like this came from a real motorsports company. This is what it means when a real motorsports company makes something. Like, okay, like, yeah, this is gonna be a thing. And if you would have asked me how long it would go for at that time, I probably would have told you that we'd probably sell 10 and that'd be it.
Yeah.
But here we are. That was 2018.
I remember you talking to me about that. You're like, well, I have a few of these. I got a truckload. I think it was like a truckload. It was your first order.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, this could end up pretty good. But, and then it was like 10,000 later. It's like
8,000.
8,000.
Yeah, I was sitting there at Elan. I had 3 wings sold, and they would only sell me 7. Like, that was the minimum I could order off at that time, was 7. And so I'm sitting here with all the money I had, because I'd spent all my money on my race car.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with all the money I had, ready to walk into this place and buy 7 of them when I only had 3 sold. And I was like, okay, here's the first step,
Yep.
And that was, now it's history. Now I'm ordering by the, thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That was real fun watching that just explode. And then watching it in the series, because I've been here a long time, since the beginning, and just the 3 or 4 cars that had it in the beginning to pretty much everybody has it. I mean, there's some that don't. Now, if you don't want to run a wing, if you have an old 60s car that, the only car that a wing ever worked on was the Dodge Charger Daytona, the Superbird.
The good one.
Yeah. But if you
how much those are selling for now?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I actually, there was one in Phoenix, driving around at a Saturday night, drive that we used to do down there back in 83, 84, or 84. And this guy had one, and he cut out the clock in the middle of the dash, and and he had a sun tax sitting right in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this will ruin this car. And I offered to trade him my truck, and I had a custom truck, and offered to trade him all this stuff and some cash, and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I forget, was it Ray? I think it was Ray or somebody found out where that car was, and it's now down in Charlotte. And there's a whole story behind that car. The guy's restoring it and everything. So it's worth some big bank.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah, it's
wings sell. Yeah.
All right, so you not only do you do wings, but you also do a spoiler too. So the cars that it's a really nice spoiler too, the mounts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
When I say spoiler, like the NASCAR type spoiler that sits on the back of the trunk lid.
Yeah, we do that mostly for trucks. It's a real hard market to get a wing on a truck.
Wait a second, like my Ram?
Yeah. Yeah, so we do those mostly for trucks. You got to put a tonneau cover on it, or we won't sell you a spoiler.
Right.
Kind of a thing, because it's needed to work. And so it's mostly for trucks for doing our spoilers, because spoilers do have a high, or I should say a low lift to drag ratio. We were seeing it at like 45 degrees. They were doing pretty decently. They would make probably 200 pounds of downforce and, probably 50 pounds of drag. But if you went over 45 degrees, like you see those dudes autocrossing, vertical wall, like that's nothing but drag. Those things are doing like a 1-to-1 lift to drag ratio at that point. They're still making 200 pounds of downforce, but they're also making 200 pounds of drag. So if you have a spoiler, don't go over 45 degrees. They can work. They can do okay.
Now you can put this on the back of your pickup truck if you're towing a trailer too, right?
Yeah. I do want to get into like finding ways to make trailers more aerodynamic.
Yeah,
I'd love to work on that somehow.
There's a couple of trailers out there. That's a big thing. I mean, I've got, I don't know if people see my trailer. It's just a little tiny, like 5x8 trailer.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of drag on that thing, towing it with my 2500 Ram.
Mm-hmm.
It does affect the gas mileage. So it's like,
we did look into figuring out how to make a those turbo wings, like those big ones that semis have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like those things are made out of stainless and weigh 700 pounds.
Oh,
they're huge. Yeah, I'm like, okay, we can do a lot better than that. Like we can give you some capacity back and have better aerodynamics than that. So we have looked into that. And, if anybody out there is driving a big rig and wants one, hit me up. I'd love to throw.
There's quite a few of them actually. So there's quite a few guys out there that show up with the older rigs that something like that would come in handy.
Yeah. We need a mid-height truck.
Yeah.
One of like the regular sleeper cab, the short one.
The day cabs or whatever.
Short. Yeah, we need someone with one of those. We already got all the CFD work done and everything. It's ready to go. I just need a truck to stick them on.
Yeah, we got a lot of truck drivers that race with us, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I figured give a little shout out on the podcast probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you're building a ChampCar?
Yep.
What you building?
We got NC Miata. What? Real original, huh?
More Miatas. I'm kidding. They're just everywhere.
It's kind of like it's our bread and butter, We gotta represent.
Yeah, and they do quite well. Actually, this past weekend, I was looking. So we were at Harris Hill this past weekend, Texas.
Yeah,
beautiful weekend in the air conditioning. Outside was close to 100 degrees. But I looked at the standings, and it was like the top 9 cars were all made by Mazda. All Miatas. Yeah, it was crazy. So,
they make good grip and lightweight,
reliable. Yeah, they're just reliable, and they go well. Except for the ones that kept losing wheels, we had a few of those. So, I think that's what you need to look at is doing some sort of hub kit, some upright that takes a different hub.
I'll tell you right now, my good buddy over at Miata Hubs, Justin Lee.
Yeah,
my Miata hits 165 miles an hour. It's gear limited, so I'm like laying on 165, and those hubs don't have a problem. They just eat it up, yeah. And I live for there.
MiataHubs.com, right?
MiataHubs.com, yeah.
Yeah.
Give a good shout out.
Cool. All right. It's late. 10:55 here on the East Coast. Sorry we're a day late, but I was on the road yesterday, and we had to get all this worked up and planned, and got home last evening, and we're good to go. So next week, I think we're going to have a guest that's been on this show twice already. She's she did quite well this weekend, and we're going to have one of the car builders that builds a killer Mini that won this past weekend. So she drove for him. So we're going to have them both on the show next week. And he's a carbon fiber specialist. This is a guy that bought a McLaren something or another, drunk one night, bid on it on eBay, woke up next morning, and he had to go buy a McLaren because he won it. So, and he took that McLaren. It had been crashed like the first week the owner had it, and the A-pillar was busted up. And supposedly he's friends with a few top of the, well, he is one of the top or was one of the top carbon fiber specialists in the country. And he made a mold for it and made his own A-pillar, replaced it all. Nice. Wasn't happy with it, redid the mold. And if you ever made aluminum molds, you know that's not easy to do.
Right.
And he did it and did it again, and has made one heck of a killer car. Actually went to COTA with it and said, yeah, this car's going to kill me. so yeah, it's he's a fun guy. It'll be fun. There might be alcohol involved, who knows, but we'll have Frank and our young lady on next weekend, and it'll be fun. All right, thank you, Johhny.
Before we go, Johhny,
we need to get his web address.
Well, before that, the line about the wife and the Wang needs to be on the back of a T-shirt. And then when you make your first $100 million on that T-shirt, we split the profits. Okay.
Deal.
Okay.
I'll split it with it.
Okay. Very good.
And just to kind of finish up before I go too crazy, I know I kind of was talking some trash on carbon fiber work. We do carbon fiber work as well, so don't think I'm biased.
No, we just don't allow carbon fiber in ChampCar. We're trying to keep the costs down, even though. I swear there's some of the carbon stuff is so much cheaper than any of the metal stuff. So, you know, some not, I'm not talking wings. I'm talking other things. So, you know, we've said, hey, we'll allow that, but I get shot down every time I put that proposal in. And
I tell you what, I got a Fox body and I bought a carbon fiber hood for it because nobody makes a carbon fiber hood for a Mustang, which is weird. And so I had to go to get one from overseas. And we when we cut holes in it to put the hood pins in, one layer carbon on the top, fiberglass. Yep. And the back shell was fiberglass. I'm like,
I have one downstairs on an MR2. It's basically a carbon layer on top with really thick fiberglass. It's not thin.
Like there should be a law against putting the word carbon fiber on the internet.
Yeah. So there was a guy
who's got. If it's 90% fiberglass.
If you ever worked for Tesla back in the early days, there was a guy named Dave Vespremi. So Dave Vespremi was the head of marketing for Tesla. Also was either a lawyer or marketing or something with K&N and a couple other companies over the years. Mm-hmm. And David had an MR2 that's now in the Peterson Museum. Nice. If you've gone down there and seen a red MR2 with all this carbon fiber stuff on it. His is actual carbon. It's like paper thin carbon fiber, and it's so strong. You know, all of it's been done in, what do they call those big
autoclave?
Yeah, autoclaves, and it's just so badass. And that was what we all like. That's what I want right there. But it was just so I can't afford that.
Yeah,
you know, stuff. But David.
I'll shoot you a video because we do all our carbon fiber. We call them the Mega Wangs.
Yeah.
We do all those in a $200,000 autoclave. So I'll shoot you a video of us pulling them out of it. Like,
so do you own the autoclave or is it?
I don't. We rent it, but you know, having it's kind of like having a boat. The best part about having the boat is when it's your friends.
Yes. The best part about having a boat is when you sell it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny because you go down to Bill Riley's shop. He's got a real nice autoclave there, and they do a lot of restorations on their old stuff. And I think he was telling
me when we get overloaded, we send it to Bill.
Yeah. They do some good business over there. So
Oh yeah.
he was telling me that they had a car from the 80s. I won't tell you what it is, but basically they took it, they were restoring it, they built it, and they took the tub and were testing the twistiness of it, and it was within, it was like brand new, and it had been wrecked many times in the whole bit. So when you can do it right, it lasts and it works. So
oh yeah, absolutely. It's totally wild when you go from like an imported carbon piece to like stuff like build it, or like stuff that Alon did. It's like it's totally different world. You have no, you think you ordered that thing off the internet, it said carbon fiber, you think you're getting the thing that like Bill makes, and you ain't. It's nowhere near.
And you get to the beaches and there's air bubbles and just it's just pretty.
Well, it's more like how it's built, right? If you get our wing, we do like a really thin layer of carbon on the outside, and then we do like a really heavy layer of carbon on the inside. And it's the thin layers just so it lays flat, and then the heavy's like really the strength of it, kind of a thing. And then and then we put a big carbon spar inside of it, so it's super strong. And the stuff that you can get off of, from overseas is like not built that way. They go for their strength is all in their shape, right? So that way they don't have to put a spar in it. So they make it really quick. So they sacrifice the aerodynamic properties of the airfoil to get strength, so that way they can actually build it in one shot and make it cheap. And so it's I'm like, oh, there's a whole world to this that I don't know if I can explain it to everybody.
Yeah.
So one final question: can you build a aluminum wing and covered in carbon fiber sticker for Ray?
For what?
For Ray Frank. Yeah, Ray's our head of tech.
Oh, you just want me to wrap a carbon fiber wing or aluminum wing in carbon fiber for him? Yeah. Let's do it with this new Evo wing we got coming out. It's going to be as light as the other ones. Yeah. And then you'll never notice. Like everyone will just think it's carbon.
Yeah, Ray will love that. He loves carbon.
Let's do it.
He's probably not even listening. He's probably in bed already. Yeah, he's old.
Yeah. We'll do up the whole thing. We'll even put carbon fiber inserts into these speed poles on the pylons and everything.
Perfect. Ray loves that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Johhny. Thank you very much, man.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me.
We'll have you back on again one of these days, and good luck with this new wing, man. I think it's going to be really popular.
Awesome. I hope so. I hope everybody loves it.
Cool. Ryan?
Do we have a you and me time here, or are we just going to say goodbye?
We've been at this over an hour. It's time to say goodbye.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any episodes. It would also be great if you share it with your friends and social media. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page as long as you're not talking about the tread width on tires, the tread depth on tires. Don't put any more comments on that one. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. Have yourself a great week. Go have fun. Go play with cars.
All right, perfect.